Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Now,
Super
we are excited. Now, Jamie knows that we kind of stalk him around Adelaide every now and again and ask him if he wants to be part of interviews and different offers for our community. He always keeps coming back, so he must like the community.
He must like, I don't know, hopefully authenticity and the real life of an entrepreneur versus some of the rubbish that's out there.
Yeah. So the reason why we like you, Jamie, in case you don't know this already, is the fact that you keep it real. We like the fact that you're just you, I guess, instead of this BS facade. Like, we see a lot of entrepreneurs online basically living the laptop lifestyle, I guess,
and hiding all the reality, I guess, sometimes of even what needs to happen to kind of get there.
Yeah, plus you're heart-centered, and we like that about you.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell everyone what you do? Because we don't want to stuff it up. We'll let you tell them what you do.
Sure. So I am the creator of OnePiece.social, which pretty much allows entrepreneurs to create content for Instagram, email campaigns, articles, pretty much every single platform very, very quickly. I'm also the creator of Market Titans Agency, which really specializes in email automations as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And email automations, as we know, are so important to one thing to have, and not to just decide that they're, not worthwhile anymore. We can't rely on the social media platforms necessarily always being there in the way that they are. So we need to know that we've got access to be able to reach our audience. So having a good email campaign is really valuable. And and we're really excited about your new project and the new platform that we've had a good little sticky beak at. So excited to be able to see how you'll be able to help people with that as well.
Yeah. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about to begin with is kind of going back to, how long have you been in business for now? 8 years? Less? More?
8, 9-ish.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So 8 years ago, what kind of made you think, okay, I don't want to be an employee anymore, or that doesn't appeal to me as much as what something else does, maybe the idea of working for myself. What happened for you back then? Like, why are you doing what you're doing?
So it kind of began when I was 15, 16, when I dropped out of high school because of my speech. It was a little bit too much pressure, high school, and having that sort of speech challenge there was a little bit too much. So I dropped out of high school at the end of year 10, and I went into a 3-year course in IT and design. And at the end of it, my intention was to work behind a computer and not have to ever speak ever again. But ultimately, I went to get employed, and everyone was asking questions like, well, can you do help desk? Can you handle our clients on the front end? And of course, that would involve me having to actually speak to other humans. So I quickly declined all ideas of ever being employed purely because of my speech at the time. So that's kind of what triggered it. It wasn't that I wasn't keen to work for anyone. I just was trying to avoid speaking as much as I could. Naturally drove me into the online world where I could earn an income through articles or through email campaigns or through advertising or through content without actually having to speak.
Yeah. And obviously,
quite ironic, really.
It is ironic because now you've got your own 2 businesses, and you're here speaking to us today.
Yes, and you definitely don't shy away from that. I mean, authentic video, you're amazing at it. It's something we're really passionate about, and you certainly took the bull by the horns, so to speak, and said, right, okay, I guess this is what I have to do, so I'm going to do it.
And I actually discovered Jamie at a webinar, again, speaking to his audience. So do you want to tell us a little bit, obviously, back then you decided, okay, I'm going to avoid
there you go,
and I'm going to basically start my own business. What back then did success look look like to you compared to maybe what it looks like now, if we're kind of from the very beginning to now?
I think when I first began, when I was 17, 18, and 19, it was really all about how much could I earn. It was all about how many clients could I close, how much could I earn, and how long could I work. I think those were what I was really pushing towards. And that was good to begin a career off of, but then over the years, I quickly discovered that there were certain projects that I preferred over other projects, or there were client categories which I really excelled in, or there were projects that really drove me more. When I began to where I'm now with my career, I really look for the more creative freedom projects and the projects that I actually enjoy, as opposed to just the high income earning projects as well. So for me now, it's really all about that creative freedom and really pursuing my ideas and bringing them out into the world as quickly as I can.
Now, I have a question. It's really serious. Did you back then pick out the Lamborghini that you were going to be buying, and that's what you were going to be driving around? A driving factor for you?
When I was, that's an interesting question. When I was 20 or 19, I test drove a Rolls Royce Ghost.
Yeah.
They go for about $624,000. So I test drove that in Sydney when I was about 20. So that was an interesting experience. And then they kept me on the actual client list ever since then. So who knows?
One day we might see you on Instagram through your new business talking about this. So obviously, I'm assuming that the driving force behind, like money back then, and it's the same for most people, like whether it's I want to beat my own PB of client intake, or if I want to actually just make what I was making at my corporate job and I don't want to do that anymore. Like everyone has different reasons, I guess, to want to make money. So moving into a more purposeful existence these days, like what makes you happy in business? Like you say you like to do community.
Success look like to you now? We know that you just spent a few months end of last year traveling and, doing a little bit of work, but, it was really about certainly lifestyle then. So success changed a bit for you now, hasn't it?
It has. It's not so much about how many hours I put in. It's more so about the output and the actual quality of those hours, which then come to the actual enjoyment during those hours and also the actual income earned, because I can enjoy not doing anything, but then I'm not earning anything either. So there's sort of more of a balance in terms of high sort of income projects because they are high projects, but I'm actually pursuing projects that I enjoy and also support me in my end goal too.
Yeah. Now, I actually know that you value mental health through physical health, and that's kind of a bit of a it goes side by side, I guess, with business success. So do you want to talk to the guys a little bit about what you've actually implemented for yourself with your health to make it so that holistically, I guess, it's a whole life success, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So when I first begun taking my career seriously, when I was about 18, early 18, I recall freelancing work, and I went full time, was like early 18. And I joined a gym and got a personal trainer at the exact same time because I knew the importance of my energy and my attention and my mental focus as well. So for me, I believe that everything comes from health. So there's no scenario where your health doesn't play into it in terms of the amount of energy which you have every single day, how sort of quickly you can actually problem solve every single day too. So health has always been a very important cornerstone of my career, and I treat it as if I would treat any ongoing client project. So I would spend an hour to 2 hours every day on my health, if it be eating clean or going to the actual gym as well. I've always been interested to see the more healthier I sort of become, the more easier every other problem becomes outside of the health training as well. So in terms of if I'm having problems with a certain project, then if I go to the gym and I begin to eat a little bit more cleaner and then I get that tuned up, I can kind of see the solution from a different perspective. Health is always an important cornerstone, and I think it's the foundation of everything. You can't really achieve anything. You can't be anybody if you have, if you're in bed and you're sick and you're tired every single day. So for me, health always comes first before anything else.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to talk to you about struggles. So, some people manage to breeze their way through, but most of us find that there are some struggles along the way, on the way to success in business. And I'm sure it hasn't all been smooth sailing for you. We've touched on your speech and how obviously that was a major thing for you you tried to avoid it and then you realized you couldn't avoid it. So that would have been one. But can you think of a struggle that you've had to come out of in business in the last 8 or 9 years?
There's been a lot, but I don't frame them as struggles per se. I just kind of frame them as things that need to be addressed or things that need to be complete and processed. I mean, I've had problems where we've had a certain client project due, and I thought that I could complete it, but then I later discovered that it's outside of my actual expertise, and then it's due tomorrow morning, and then there's things like, well, either we have to refund them, and that's not good for us or good for them, or or say we need to figure out how to problem solve this as well. There's been that countless amounts of times, and I'm not sure if there was any specific problem or any specific struggle per se, but it seems like there's always something happening. It's never just gliding through or breathing through. There's always a problem to be cracked or something to be uncovered or some puzzle to be figured out. So I think it's an ongoing part of actual entrepreneurship, and I think if you're not going through that, then you probably aren't really doing anything important, or you're just avoiding the actual problems entirely.
I think it's a part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not the first person, who's actually talked about the fact that there's not, yes, there's usually a pivotal moment. So we'll talk about that. I'm assuming it was, when you dropped out of high school and the story that you were talking about before. But I think it's a common theme really that every single day it's a mindset thing, isn't it? It's like you've got to get up and you've got to serve your clients in the way that you personally feel aligned with. And when that doesn't kind of go to plan, and this is where the health comes in, and what can you do with your mindset to just overcome the daily struggles?
I also think that as you grow in business, there's always next level challenges, and that's like what you're talking about. You'll grow into being able to take on other projects, and then there might be a component you can't do, but then you have to learn how to do it. But if you actually take stock of the successes you've had along the way, that's where you realize how your business has grown and how you've evolved and how much better you are today than you were last month and 5 months ago and 2 years ago, is because of the ongoing learning and evolution of what the business has done.
Yeah.
100%. Spot on.
Okay, so if you could pick a defining moment that's kind of gone, right, it's put me on the trajectory that I'm at now, would it be the fact that you had difficulties with your confidence with your speech, or is there something else that's put you on the most recent trajectory with your new business that's kind of a pivotal moment for you?
I think with the new platform, OnePiece.social, that came about through just being conscious of what problems people are having out there and paying attention to it in terms of what I want to, like, in terms of just being aware of the things that I would like in an actual platform and the things that people would enjoy as well. So as opposed to just creating a product because there is a need and that need could be always there, I'm constantly being aware of what is the current present need today, as opposed, so like, take for example, my actual agency has been around for almost 3 years now, and that was a need which was clear then, and then also is, you know, very clear now. However, OnePiece.social is aiming to solve a present need, and I think many entrepreneurs get caught up in the need which they have figured out then, as opposed to, you know, 4 years later or 8 years later or even half a year later. They need to keep readdressing what the marketplace wants, and in most cases it might mean you might have to close down your current product, or, you know, you might have to start a new brand. But if you're constantly being aware of where the marketplace is, then you're not ever going to fall behind, and you don't ever feel like you're going to be competing as well.
Yeah.
Now, and that resonates for me. I actually want to talk a little bit more about OnePiece.social. So can you tell us, what is it exactly, and how does it marry in with what you're doing previously? Because they're like little buddies, aren't they? They're friends that can work together.
They're sort of friends, yes. So they have been designed to kind of operate independently. But pretty much it allows anyone to become a grant card owner or a certain Gary Vaynerchuk, whereby these individuals would have a full production house that is producing their Instagram quote cards or their articles or their email campaigns or their podcasts. Now this platform allows you to upload a simple video file and then have an email campaign, and produce an actual blog article, produce quote cards, and also a podcast as well. So it takes a lot of time out of the process of having to create content for multiple different platforms, where now you just upload it and it's reproduced for you in every single platform that you would ever need.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like when you look, I mean, you've got people that have either big capital behind them to be able to start out in business and they can, you know, go full on with their marketing, what have you. And then you've got a whole range of people that are bootstrapping the startup of their business, and yet they still want to be professional and come across and give the, you know, the quality, valuable content information. They might be still working and, you know, starting up their business, or you know, not working and starting to build their business. But this really allows them to have such a professional front at a really affordable price, and outsource, you know, very quickly in a way that a lot of people couldn't afford to.
Exactly, and also it's not just about the actual quality, but it's about allowing them to not be caught up in those tasks. So if you're doing this on your own, you might spend 4 to 8 hours doing this single content production task. As in, now, all you have to do is film a short vlog, could be 3 to 4 minutes long, and then you upload it, which takes around 2 minutes, and you have content for your whole week. You have your quote cards, your articles, your email campaigns, and your podcast as well. Done.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I can't wait to start using it.
I know, we've been stalking it, as you know. Hey, so obviously you have created this business because you've seen a need in the market. And it makes me wonder, okay, so obviously you're implementing similar things within your own business, and you've seen that you can easily help other people to do what you're doing. So what does your week look like? Like if we're looking behind the scenes in your business, what can people expect to see you doing? / outsourcing.
Besides,
here, by the way.
No, like what does an ideal week look like for you nowadays?
And ideal week for me looks like having a blank calendar usually, because I like a lot of time to be creative and to think and to problem solve, as opposed to be doing the actual task from every single day. However, I have that privilege because I have a team of 10 behind me. So ideally, I'm just handing tasks off to them and then I'm helping them out as much as possible. Next week, I'm designing a new company for the whole week for my friend. And that is just me designing everything for them. So that kind of creative freedom is what I enjoy. Or take, for example, OnePiece.social. We are going through a huge update right now, and the last 3-4 nights have just been about being creative in that problem. So for me, the most ideal week is to not have anything planned and just work within my flow, like be creative, read, problem solve, see what's actually trending, as opposed to trying to respond to emails or to meetings or then to text. I'm being proactive rather than trying to react to the week. And I think the more that people can be proactive in terms of if they actually create their weeks, as opposed to seeing what emails come in or seeing, and they can be proactive in that, I think they'll have a lot more happiness and a lot more drive to push forward every single day. Because usually if we don't want to get out of bed, it's because we have to do things we do not enjoy. And when we look at it, that could be maybe you don't want to speak to a certain client, maybe you don't want to work on this project, but you have to. So the more creative freedom which you can create, and the more calendar space which you have to yourself and to your own, and then to your own projects, the sort of quicker your brand will grow, the more freedom you have, the more happiness you will have as well. If you look at the top performing CEOs in the biggest companies, yes, they're very, very busy. However, it's on their terms. Like, they know where their flow is, and they only play in that actual in the actual space as well. I've got a friend who owns quite a large company, and he spends all of his time creating content. That's it. Like, he doesn't do any email campaigns or any advertising. He just creates content because that's what he enjoys, and that's what grows the company as well. So like, you can't even hire him as a coach or, you know, as a service provider. He's completely heads down in his content because that's what he enjoys. That's what provides him creative freedom, and he's calculated that that's what helps him to grow the company as well. So you need to find where your creative sweet spot is and really go in on that, so that you don't have to do these other tasks or these other client meetings or these other projects, hopefully.
I think that's such a massive gold nugget. Like, the sooner we can find ways to really sort the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, where we look at what are the things we really love and what are the things we aren't very good at. You know, we've gotten better and better at doing this even over this last 12 months, and even putting together this series, you know, has reignited just what we love to do. So we want to help people with what we love, and you know, there's other people that love to do the things you don't love to do.
Yeah, I actually took a while feeling guilty about outsourcing the crappy jobs that I hate, because I've actually realised that they love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does bring you more purpose, more freedom, more success, and more stamina to keep doing. Like, you know, you can see Jamie's a creative and a big picture thinker. So, you know, you spending your time in that area is most valuable to all of your clients, because the nitty-gritty and ins and outs of what has to be done can then be implemented by the people that are really good at that.
Yeah.
Spot on. It's kind of the same thing that we hear again and again, like, you know, play to what you're good at. Go all in on the things you are good at and the things you enjoy, and then outsource everything else. But it's not until you begin doing it that you see the actual power of actually outsourcing and only playing to, and then, you know, only playing to the things that you actually enjoy in your business.
Yeah.
So I've got another question. We didn't warn you about this. This is just something that I want to know. How long did it take you how long did it take you to get to the point where you did have a team of 10? Like, I'm assuming you didn't rock up in your business 3 years ago and kind of go, right, I've got a team of 10 people.
I've got no money to pay them, but I'm just going to employ them anyway.
I'm going to employ them to see what happens. So how long did it take you to get to the point where you had started to build up your team? Did you start with one and kind of build, or start with none, or what happened?
Interesting question. My first team member was, I think, January 2016 was my first proper team member. Like, as in I had outsourced previously, but those were very short contracts. This was me hiring someone to go, okay, they are my full-time person for this role. And I hired them January 2016. They're still a part of the company today. They're amazing. They're the best. And then my next hire will be in March, I think. And the reason I hired a second time was for the exact same position, but I learned that, like me, I like to focus on one thing. So I hired someone to do a single thing, and I was having a lot more client work come in than what they could handle. So then I hired for the same role again. And then from that, I hired an assistant. And then I think we did graphic designer next, then another developer, video editor, a second assistant. So in short, it kind of happened slowly. And the reason I hired is because I needed it to be done and I didn't want to do it. Yeah. So it's not as if I hired everyone all up front. I hired with the most crucial time-consuming tasks that I have currently. And then I hired again for that same position and then grew that team of developers or of graphic designers over time, because if I've got two developers and they're flat out, then I'm going to hire a third one to then expand our capacity. So I'm not hiring ahead of work. I'm kind of hiring as the work comes in, and I'm keeping them there as I need them as well. And there's this misconception that, like, you need to hire full time. You don't need to hire full time anymore, especially on platforms like Upwork, which used to be called Odesk. Is that you can hire a freelancer for 40 hours per week on a sort of open-ended contract, where, you know, they could be doing 40 hours per week, but they might do 8 hours next week, or, you know, 28 hours. Like, so you're only paying for the work, and that's what I enjoy about hiring on that platform, and especially on that platform, on actual, is it Odesk or Upwork now? Upwork.
We're using it.
So on Upwork, what's great is that you can hire from anywhere in the whole world, right? In terms of, like, you don't have to go over to like India or somewhere over there. Like, you can hire from England, you know, and we've got, you know, a few from over there. And you can hire good quality talent who actually enjoy doing the things that you don't enjoy at a cheaper rate, and only pay for the outcome in terms of them just.
Well, I mean, it means you can expand and expand and expand, doesn't it? Like, I remember one of our interviews last.
And also,
yeah, go.
And then also expand and also contract, because you can put the contract on pause, or not paying for their time, you're paying for the work. So for example, higher overheads only expand when we're earning more, and then if we have it then shrinks, and that's fantastic, because it means that we always have an even profit margin, and things are just a lot more fluid, as opposed to having, you know, someone here in-house full time and paying for their time as opposed to a tangible outcome.
Yeah, I remember Donnie Walford last year when we interviewed her. One of the key things she said is because we said, what's something that if you looked back on that you would do differently, or that you would, you know, reflect on and change. And she said, hire before you're ready. Like she said, before you think you can afford to hire someone, just hire someone. Because if you do,
That's actually, that's interesting you say that, because when I think about the first person I hired, I was like, I could do it on my own. I'm not really ready to hire. I don't have to hire them, but I'll see what happens. And I think I've begun them on 4 hours per week, which quickly escalated to like uncapped hours now. So some hours are doing like 80, 60, 40. Like they're just so good at it that I'm just doing as much work as you can. So I do believe that you're never going to be prepped to hire. Like you're not going to come into work and like, okay, I feel like I can hire now. It's never going to happen. Like you always have to hire before you feel comfortable in doing that actual process.
Yeah, because I also think that, you know, when something you've got to learn is a little bit of letting go. Like you said, you could have done it yourself. So you have to let go of the fact that maybe they won't do it as well as I'll do it. I might have to step back before we grow forward because, you know, I'm going to have to spend a bit of time training them or you know, at least telling them my way or my flavor or my message or, you know, so there is some of that. But I think that what you can gain out of that very quickly pays you back and has you realize, yeah, I should have started this a bit earlier.
Indeed. And in terms of handing over projects to your team, the most powerful thing is screenshots.
Yes.
Before and after. It's like, you know, I've got this that looks like this, make it look like that. And they'll connect the dots. They will figure out the task within the task within the task. Before and after is a phenomenal way to outsource. Because you're not being caught up in change this headline, move that font. You're saying this is what it should appear like afterwards. Figure it out. And most people will problem solve it. They will work to their skill sets and get it complete. And it's quicker for you to outsource just using screenshots as opposed to explaining the actual individual task within the project.
I love that, because one of the things that I get caught up in is like, how do you log into the things that you need to log into? And I get annoyed just writing that down on a piece of paper or in the email. And yeah, you're right. Like going through the step-by-step thing, it's empowering for someone who wants to be employed and wants to support you to figure it out for themselves instead of being micromanaged.
And most people want to do better. Like they want to grow themselves. So by just giving them the trust and the independence to do it allows them to take that on and kind of go for it. So you can also have them write the system they did to do it. So if you ever need to ask somebody else, they can just hand that over even, you know.
Okay,
awesome.
So
we also did one last point on that. It outcome, because at the end of class, they can see their own work and see, okay, does the work that I've done, does it look like the actual screenshot mock or the actual screenshot draft? If not, then I need to hit on working on it. And I reckon we've hit almost every target perfectly because we've just been using this process again and again.
Yeah, man.
That's gold. That's gold.
Yeah.
So the freebie, what did you want to offer everybody? Because we know that you're going to shoot them an email to send it through, as well as having it accessible on the page in case they want to opt in straight away, but they can look forward to an email from you. But did you want to share, how you can help them out?
I reckon we will give them some... Sure, I think we will give everyone some credit towards their first content campaign on onepiece.social so that they can try it out at a fraction of the cost and really see how easy it is to grow their brand from a single piece of content.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
I can see all the little spider webs coming out. That's what I imagine. Little spidey sensors everywhere, all over social media.
Yeah. It makes me more inspired to kind of get some more stuff happening even on my page that I want to.
Makes you want to create content.
Yeah, it makes it easier to create content because it's like, oh, I just have to do that bit. And then all of that can happen. And then I can even just get that person to put it all up and schedule it. Like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right.
Super exciting.
Well, guys, we just wanted to
Exactly.
listening. Thank you for watching, if that's what you're doing. And, you know, for those of you who have been in our community for a while, you'll know Jamie by now, but we just want to say thank you for coming as well, Jamie.
Massive thanks, Jamie. We love your work, and great to speak to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's all right. Bye.
Bye.